Hello and welcome to the afternoon, evening edition of Traffic Ramblings with Jonathan. How y'all doing this afternoon? I hope you're doing great. I'm going home. Yay, I'm going home. Wave at a coworker. Oh, me. It's been a day. I'm ready to go home. I'm ready to talk, maybe. Still don't know quite what I'm going to talk about today, though. It's been a bit of a mystery. You know, I started talking about cars that I want to own, cars that I have owned this at lunchtime today, and you know it's a hard subject to talk about because it's all subjective. You know what I would want as a car. You know, somebody else probably go, "Oh, man, that's a piece of junk." Well, another man's junk. One man's junk is another man's treasure. I like what I like, just as I'm sure y'all like what y'all like. But you know, it's kind of the point. One of the points of there being so much out there that is, you know, to be had. And you know, what turns one person on to a car might turn somebody else away. It goes back to one man's treasure is another man's junk. So, you know, like I said, I've been a Buick man for a long time, and I'm starting to come up and really get into the Mazdas as well. I mean, I like my two Mazdas that I've had. They've been great and wonderful cars, but the Buicks that I've had, you know, for what they were excellent vehicles. My first car was a 1979 Buick Skylark 4-door sedan. Wasn't much to look at. The paint was faded off of it, and the AC didn't work. If you tried to use the power door locks, they'd short out against the door frame. But it started. It ran. It got me where I wanted to go. And it did so reliably for a number of years until I failed it. The car didn't fail me, I failed the car. Because the rear main seal on this thing leaked. And I knew it leaked, and the only thing I really had to do was, you know, keep a check on the oil levels in it and, you know, make sure it had oil. And I got a little bit lax in it, and I let it go for a while, and then I think the main seal leak on it got worse, and all the oil drained out of it. And that was the end of that. So I had another motor that I had built for it. I hadn't built for it. I had built it to sell because it came out of a '76 Skylark hatchback that I had bought for real cheap. I mean, complete. You know, it was running sort of, and I paid $150 for this car. Anyway, you know, I built this motor. It was an old Oddfire motor, and it was half worn out. As a matter of fact, it was so worn out that I had to have the engine cylinders bored out 60 thousandths over. But at any rate, you know, I dropped another motor in it, drove it for a little while, and it was getting to the point to where it was starting to eat me out of house and home and gas. Because, you know, 3-speed automatic, even with the 256 to 1 gears that it had in it, it didn't get spectacular gas mileage. It got about 16 to 18 on a good day. You got to remember, this motor was pulling around a almost 4,000 pound body. Now, that's not 4,000 pounds of electronics and wiring and motors and junk. This is 4,000 pounds of steel. And it had all the aerodynamics of a brick. You know, it didn't glide through the air. It forced its way through the air bluntly. You know, but that wasn't its fault, and it served its purpose for a long time. And would I own another one? Maybe not. I mean, it's not my favorite Buick. You know, if I'm going to get something like that, I want, you know, like I said in the earlier video, I want a think it was a 72, 73 Riviera boat tail, a 69, 70, 71, 72 Skylark coupe, or a early to mid 80s Regal coupe, preferably the GN or the GNX. You know, those are my favorites by far out of the Buick lineup. Another one that I would love to have again, and I had one of these cars for a long time. I had a 1996 Regal Grand Sport coupe. And yet again, this is another one of my favorite cars. I just absolutely adored this thing, and I wish I hadn't traded it off the way I did, because I did myself wrong in doing so. Now granted, you know, as a mid-90s GM product, and they're not well known for reliability and build quality, but you know, it had the 3800 Series 2 V6 in it that's just almost bulletproof. The car would fall apart around the engine before the engine gave up. But you know, and they don't build that motor anymore, and it's a shame, because it was one of the best engines GM had ever put out. Just kept right on going. But at any rate, you know, I got rid of this car because I thought I needed something to haul a project car around with, and I didn't, because the project car was going nowhere. I had and the project car I'm talking about, I had a 1975 Buick Century Free Spirit pace car that had been badly neglected for a good portion of its life. These things, it had the Hurst hatch T-roofs in it, which was an early T-top deal that GM put in their coupes. They literally would cut away part of the roof and not reinforce it and drop these things in, and they leaked like crazy. Matter of fact, you couldn't drive the car that I had in the rain without wearing a raincoat or an umbrella above you, because it would just pour water on top of you the entire time. When I parked it, I had to put a tarp over the top of it. You know, hold the tarp, because a car cover wouldn't hold the water out. I had to put a physical tarp over the car as a water barrier. It leaked so bad. And it had been leaking for so long that the rear floor pans, where the rear passenger put their feet, had rotted through all the way up to parts of the where the front seats bolted into the floor pan. The seat springs were gone in it, and you couldn't find any of the parts for this car. So it was a basket case from the word go. It's another one of those things that I regret buying. But you know, that's neither here nor there. I can't change the past at this point. It is what it is. But I love Buicks. I love the fact that they've supposedly got all this luxury, and every so often they'll haul off and beat the living daylights out of something that's supposed to be a sports car, which is hilarious. You know, the GNX, which was the wave goodbye for most of your Buick rear-wheel drives, was just an absolute beast. This thing was faster than the Corvette of the day in a straight line, and I'd love to have one. But I digress. It's time to start winding it down now. We're coming up on the 10-minute mark, so we're gonna say goodbye, and y'all have a good evening. I'll see y'all tomorrow. If you like our conversations, like the videos, subscribe to the channel, share the videos, and comment. I want comments. I'd love to hear what y'all have to say. And of course, I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. The Twitter handle is at ramblin1. Instagram is Traffic Ramblings, and Facebook is Traffic Ramblings. And of course, there's a link below for referral cars. Go check that out, and y'all have a good evening. Bye.